Hey gang, it's KR King of D&D Homebrew, talking today about letting your players find an edge when they're confronted with an obstacle or force that's simply too strong to just take head on. And as you can see by my thumbnail, I'm referencing the classic example of the Trojan Horse, in which the Greeks pretended to sail away from Troy, and they left this giant horse statue, rolling horse statue behind as a gift. But of course, hidden inside, and then at night, they snuck out, opened up the gates, the army came back, and took the city. And I believe the best way to do this is to let the players come up with ideas, say yes to these ideas with some qualifiers, right? Give them a sense of what the probabilities are, and then let them, enact their plan, and then also have some ideas about complications that might arise as this plan unfolds. And to show you this, I'm just going to stick with this Trojan Horse idea. I'm going to use a classic RPG adventure trope in which the players have to get inside a heavily fortified fortress to rescue some person or to get some item. And how they figure out how they're going to do that. They cannot take this head on. They don't have the forces. So the formula here is to let the players come up with ideas, and you're saying yes in general to these ideas with qualifications. It could be obstacles that might be impossible to do. Then you're creating odds based on you're giving the players a sense of whether this is easy, hard, impossible. Then you're going through that, and then complications arise. So let's say the players literally try to emulate the Trojan Horse. They try to sneak into this fortress in plain sight. They ask you, okay, are there supply wagons that come into the keep that deliver food or military supplies or whatever? And you say, yes, there are. Okay, is it possible for us to get inside these wagons or something sneak in? Well, it depends on the qualifiers. What's the size of the wagons? Are they large enough? And are these wagons inspected? So you say, yes, the wagons are inspected before they come in. So it's a very small chance that you could do this. So the players say, well, what if we turned ourselves invisible and we got underneath the wagons? We either hung on or tied ourselves up or something. Could we then sneak in? Well, first of all, let's say I have a party of 4 with an invisibility spell, that's a 5th level spell. Or if you had 2 magic users in your group, again, that would be 2 3rd level spells to get in a 5e situation. Again, it depends on the RPG system you're doing. So let's say you go, well, you could use a 3rd level, 1 magic user, and turn 2 people invisible. They could get up under the wagon, go in, and it's an hour-long spell, concentration spell, but in theory, if the magic user is somewhere else, you could just be concentrating on that. So that you tell them, okay, that's going to be a pretty good, very good chance that they're going to succeed. Now, what is very good? Because you're going to roll this. Is that a 90% chance? Is it 80? Because that's 20%, that's a bad chance. And what happens if they fail, right? Well, that's our first complication. Even if they're poking under there and they hit someone or whatever, what's going to happen? And where does it occur? Do they inspect it before they go into the keep or once they're inside? And once they're captured, or do they have to fight their way out as 2 players? But let's say they succeed at this. Now they're inside, they're invisible. What do? Do they know where the prisoner is or where this item is? Is it down in a dungeon? Is it in the, master that keeps quarters or the king's, hall or something, or treasure room or what? Obviously, with something they're using, is it on their person? And what are going to be the complications? If these 2 characters come in, are they going to hide somewhere and then put ropes down or whatever? And do they know the plan of the fortress? Do they know how it's laid out? And with complications, think about a movie. If you see a movie and they're planning out some robbery, if they describe the entire plan to the audience before it occurs, as an audience member with movies, things are going to go wrong. There's going to be complications. And even if we watch it unfold right in front of us, such that we're watching all the brilliance, say a Mission Impossible type thing or something that's unfolding and everything, there are going to be some complications, maybe 1. Now, in a gaming situation, you're giving these percentages, you're making some rolls along the way. They don't have to be. The players can just succeed. Their plan was really good. This isn't a movie. But the players should be aware that as they go along, there might be some complications. Someone might be in some place they hadn't expected or whatever. So let's say they try the wagon thing. Is the person who brings the supplies, are they in on the plan? Are they aware of this? Because that can be a complication. Or do they try to sneak in, get under the wagon? They got an hour with the invisibility spell. The wagon goes through and they get off at some point, get somewhere where the spell wears off and they're visible. So as they're planning this, what do they know about the fortress? Can they get the plans to the fortress? And when they're asking you these questions, say yes. There is a chance that they can get these plans. Where are they? Are they with the builder? This isn't like the old pyramids where they sealed the builders inside, right? To prevent anyone from knowing the secret plans. So are these outside somewhere, and is there a way to get them? And you can say yes with qualifications. This builder, do they have guards at their warehouse where they keep the plans? Are they under lock and key or in some, area that's really protected? And of course, even if they do steal the plans, there could be a complication. The builder realizes, holy cow, someone's been in my vault here and stolen this. Now, again, that might be a low percentage chance, 10% or something, or whatever you want to say. But again, it's a complication. It's a possibility. And all this could be done, theater of the mind. They go to the warehouse. They have they sneak in. They've reconnoitered, whatever. You're saying yes to their various ideas. So there's a chance. And okay, if you say it's in this vault, that's hard to do. You have someone, a rogue or something, or some inside information or whatever. So, okay, now you've raised your chances to be better. And then you go through this process. And there could be a complication that's a good thing. They get the plans, they're trying to figure out where this person would be held in dungeons, and they realize, hey, there's a sewer system in here. We could go through the sewer system. We don't have to risk, first of all, splitting up the party and then, sending ropes down or something at night so that they can climb up or something like that. Again, when the guards aren't looking or whatever, now we can sneak in. And again, this might be closer to the dungeons where the prisoners are typically held. It depends, right? And can they find out through contacts or whatever where this prisoner is being held? If it's an item, not necessarily closer to that, but at least they can all go in at once. So you say yes to the sewer idea with qualifications. This sewer might be, you go through there's a chance you can get a disease. Do creatures live in this sewer? How wide are these sewers? Can you go through here with armor on? And so you can tell the players from what you can see on the plans, the width of this, what you know in terms of these sewers, what might live there. There's a pretty good chance. But there's a qualifier, right? The disease factor or these creatures that live there, which is a nasty complication. So you tell the players the probabilities are you can probably make it through. Maybe you have to take your armor off from what you've heard. You think perhaps you're going to be near the dungeons when you come out of this sewer, but there's a chance of disease and something nasty that you've heard lives there. And if they're smart, the players will have a complete plan. So let's say they get these plans, they realize there's a sewer, we're going to sneak through the sewer, go to the dungeon, we have this plan of the keep, rescue the prisoner, come back out through the dungeon. So you've given them all the qualifiers of the disease in the dungeon, potential for a monster, how easy are these gates going to be, these grates that are there to open, the number of guards that they think that are in here. Again, they've asked some people around. Maybe they know some ex-guards. Again, they ask you, is there a way at a tavern or something I can find out there? They're researching information and you're saying, yes, but maybe you got to pay people. Maybe how reliable is this person, etc. And you give them an idea that if you run into a conflict in the sewer, or if there's a problem with the grates, they're calcified and sealed, that lowers the probabilities. But there's things they can do once they get those qualifiers, once they realize these complications can arise. If we have to hammer these gates off, can someone bring a silence spell? Think about utility spells to help you make your plan have a higher chance of success. So let's say they go through the sewer system, they manage to get through, they don't fight anything, they get through the grates, they have to pound them out, they brought this silence spell, which they continue to use. They get to the cell, supposedly with the prisoner, and a complication. The cell is empty. They've moved the prisoner. What do? Do they immediately just turn back and leave, come back, let the thing, because maybe the prisoner's just up being interrogated, they're going to be brought back. Do they go and try to get some guards, isolate them, and knock them out and then question them or charm them to get information? Again, did you bring that spell? Or another complication, there's someone else in the cell, another prisoner. Do you question this prisoner? Will the prisoner go with you with the promise of freedom? Again, this is potentially a good complication, but they're always the kind of things that can happen that change your plans. And you can decide, first of all, how often you run through. Is there a monster in the dungeon? Are the grates calcified? Has something happened to the prisoner? You decide those percentages. Maybe you say there's always a 25% chance at some point that there's a complication arises, but it might be a good one. Or you make 10%. Like I said, the complication of the noticing that the plans have been stolen. How often do they look at those plans? But I would say always roll for a complication. Don't just throw them in because, oh, they're going through and something's got to happen. No, it's not a movie. It's not a book. It's a game. The players have a plan. And it doesn't always, it could in theory go through without a hitch. But there's always that chance. So let's say the players find out, okay, they hear from the prisoner or they charm a guard, they're being held somewhere else. They're about to be questioned. They're upstairs, something like that. So now the players, there's a complication. Do they decide to continue? Because now they're not on their plan. But they continue forth. They get the prisoner. Maybe they have to have a battle with the guards. Are they heard by this, right, in this battle? But now they've got the prisoner. Can they get back out through the sewer? Maybe the alarm has been raised and people are running around. They go down through the sewer. Can they get out the other side of the sewer? If they realize this is where they went through, do they run out to wherever the exit of this sewer? Or do they have another plan? Do they decide, let's go over the edge of the walls here or something, right? Again, do they have fly spells? Do they have some way of escaping? Some way that they've thought, if this plan goes awry, here's plan B. And if they come up with a plan B, you say yes to that with further qualifications. In all of these situations, you're not a GM that goes, no, that's not going to work. Or no, because you didn't think about it. Just try to go with it. You're going with the players. You're giving them, part of the fun of having an edge is it gives them an opportunity to do something different. And then there's complications that could arise, but they're realistic complications and they don't just always arise. They're just always going to say, this goes wrong or that goes wrong. And if they've been detected, but they escape, now if the prisoners escaped, the army emerges. Do they have a plan for that? Immediately to leave town and go somewhere else. They're not just going to go back to the tavern they hang out at or whatever, because they're going to shut down potentially the walls around the city. Do they have a plan for that? And do you have an NPC along the way who, if they're not thinking about their exit plan, might say to them, hey, what's your plan when you get this prisoner? Like where, and again, is there an opposing force that wants this prisoner and they're taken to their keep, now they're safe, and the players have some option to be smuggled out or whatever, or they just hide in the keep until, the authorities give up on searching for this player. All of these situations you're letting the players figure out a way to get an edge, to get that Trojan horse, to get something that takes away the tremendous advantage that they have in this fortress. And these are applied to any other situations where the players have to do something where the odds seem stacked against them or impossible. You're saying, okay, yes to an idea, always with qualifiers, and then in your back pocket, you've always got the chance of complications, because that's what happens in stories that makes them interesting. So hopefully that's helpful to you in terms of creating those circumstances that your players can find an edge. Because once they realize, if they plan, if they think about, what's the situation at this fortress and where this person or this item is, they know I can come up with a plan. The GM is going to give me a chance. They're going to say yes to this, but I'm going to factor that all in and we're going to go for it. And that will be really exciting for your players. So hopefully that's helpful to you. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel. Leave some comments. I'd love to hear about how you handle these situations with your players. Most importantly, keep playing an RPG game, whichever one you choose, and tell someone else about it.